Hello folks, welcome to the channel. My name's Nick, you're watching Let's Get Hitched. Well, we've been caravanners for over a decade, and for 6.5 years of that, we've owned a 2017 Elddis Chatsworth 866, a large 8-foot wide, 27-foot twin axle van that we bought from the Event City show in 2017. I'd like to take you through the van and give you a honest owner's review and walk you through some of the modifications that I've made over the years. One of the first things that we noticed when we boarded the 866 at the show was the width of the lounge. That's where I think you can really tell that it's an 8-foot wide van. The gap in between the sofas is a lot larger than a standard width van. In fact, so much so that when you sit on one of the sofas in a standard width van, of course, you can put your feet on the other sofa opposite, but with this van you can't. This is of course also converts down into a good size king size bed, which myself and Emma sleep on whilst we're away. In the lounge you've got the two under bed lockers, or under sofa lockers I suppose I should say. Both of these can be single beds. All you do is just take these bolsters off, of course, and you've got the full width of the sofa. But we use this as the king size bed at the front to sleep. You got more storage in here as well. There's a little storage unit under there. That's actually where we keep our TV when it's not on the top there. And then of course you've got these drawers here and an occasional table as well, which extends out. That's quite useful for having your coffees on, particularly when we're sitting watching the telly. Now, the only place really for the TV in this 866, to be honest with you, is on the top here. We tend to put it on there. I've got some cables that plug into the aerial outlet, which is over there. Here are the bed slats, which pull out, and then I'm not going to make the bed up, but you can see if you take these bolsters off here, let me just show you the actual length of the seats, give you some indication of just how big that bed is. So I'm standing right back in the kitchen now. You can see that makes from wall to wall, and with the upturned bolsters that go in the middle, and it also comes with infill cushions. Again, I think later models of this van did away with the infill cushions because they had slightly different design sofas. It makes up into a nice king size bed. We've got some roll out Duvelet portable toppers, and that on top of the standard van mattresses makes for a really comfy night's sleep. Nice large front skylight. All of the windows have blinds, and because this is a special edition, it comes with nice pleated blinds as well on the windows, and as well as the blinds, you've got fly screens on every window as well as the door. Pair of speakers in the front. And there's a factory fitted radio unit in here. If to be honest with you, the only time I actually use this at the moment is when we go to the air tattoo at Fairford in Gloucestershire every year, and we have the airshow radio on, but other than that we don't tend to use it. It doesn't actually connect from the factory to an iPhone. You have to do something else with it, so we don't actually play music through it at the moment. As you can see, plenty of storage space. There's lots of lockers on both sides of the van. There's only 3 of us, of course, when we go away in this van, but even when we've had family members and friends with us, we've not run out of space at all for everybody's bits and bobs. One of the big features of the layout that we really liked was this U-shaped diner area. We all wanted somewhere to sit and eat as a family whilst we were away. Instead of putting up the occasional table in the front, which we used to do in the Swift, we like the fact that this has an actual proper diner area, and the fact that, of course, once you've made the bed up in the front, you don't necessarily need to take it down immediately in the morning to sit and have breakfast together. The diner is well placed, of course, because it's right opposite the kitchen. And another thing that we noticed when we viewed it at the show was the amount of kitchen space that you get. On the Swift, we only had a couple of cupboards and a couple of drawers, and the kitchen stuff used to overspill into the neighbouring lockers, particularly in the front. Whereas here, we have so much storage in the kitchen that all the kitchen stuff is confined to the kitchen area itself. And it's well equipped. We have a Thetford Aspire 2, which has 3 gas rings and an electric ring. We also have a gas grill, and below it is a gas oven. Nice little work extension here for the kitchen. It is quite useful. Black sink, good size as well. That's where I keep my external water pump when it's not in use. More storage, nice flush fitting microwave, and a tall fridge freezer with a separate freezer compartment in there, and that is perfectly sized for a family of 3. Bearing in mind this is actually a 6th berth van. We have plenty of space and room in here for just the 3 of us. The Chatsworth also comes with an omni-vent above the kitchen, which can extract but also draw in air. Large wardrobe on the left there, of which I've actually put in a little dishwasher, one of my other videos. If it's not already made, it will be on a link in the description. When it is, you can see how I fitted that. As we come through to the rear of the caravan, you can see this little kid zone here with a small table and storage under here. We've got books and games in here for Sophie, and the little bench seat at the back. We found that we don't tend to use this, or Sophie doesn't really use this as for what it's really intended for. It's now really just become an area, a dressing area for us when we get out the shower, but it's also, Emma uses this as a dressing table because the mirror is on the wall there. At the back, I think we've got a mirror there because it's a dealer special. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure the Avante range actually came with it on its own. And of course, stuffed full with all of our bedding at the moment is the 2 bunks. The dog gets the bottom bunk, and Sophie is delighted to have the top bunk there. They're quite long. They're over 6 foot long. It's long enough for the average size adult. However, they are a little bit narrow. We have had family stay with us and they've used the bottom bunk. It is like a pod when you're in there. It is quite narrow for an adult, but it is possible, and they are quite comfy. And they come with this Ozio mattress, both of them, and it is quite comfortable, to be honest. But the diner, of course, folds down into a double bed should you have any serious visitors with you. Each of the bunks comes with its own window. The top bunk comes with a skylight, and I also fitted a TV there for Sophie, and I just routed the cable down underneath both the bunks and it goes out underneath. Storage underneath the bottom bunk. The only disadvantage with the early vans in 2017 was that they didn't put an external access hatch to access under there. In the 2018 866s onwards they did. It was just missed on this year for some reason. We've just adapted and we just put the bedding under there whilst we're away so that the bunks can be used properly. There are sockets and TV points. You can see there's a TV point and sockets in there. I've put an extension for all the bits and bobs that Emma and Sophie use in the back here. And there are also more sockets down here, along with the blown air exit point for the back. One criticism would be that the blown air system, yes, it is a little bit noisy, nothing too much. Similar, really, I suppose you could say, to that of a air conditioning unit in a hotel room. But because the only outlet for the back of the van is down there underneath the cupboard, you've got the rest of the van there to heat in the back, and to be honest with you, I don't think it's adequate enough. However, we don't tend to caravan in the winter, so at the moment it's not really caused us too many issues, but you can tell a little bit of a temperature difference in the back. Where the 8-foot width really comes to its own is in here, which is our fully fitted bathroom. Skylight in the bathroom, a very wide, large, self-contained shower cubicle. We shower all the time on the caravan, and in fact I've made a modification to the van with an extra hot water tank. One of my later videos, if I've already made it by the time you're watching this, there'll be a link in the description. It's a nice wide cubicle. You don't bash your elbows whilst you are showering or anything like that. And the one thing that I do like about this, and it's going to sound a little bit odd, let me just release the transit catch on the top there. Now the van is actually on a slant because we're in the storage at the moment, so it's just fallen of its own. It's fallen closed to its own there. It has a very nice shower door. Now this is going to sound a little bit odd, but just recently we've been exploring other caravan layouts because we are eventually, in probably I would say in the next 18 months to 2 years, are going to outgrow this layout, particularly with Sophie. She's 8 in a few weeks time, and one thing that we have noticed is that the shower cubicles in some of the other vans come with horrible plastic doors and a horrible plastic handle, whereas this is a really lovely solid concertina door. It's very nice. Well done, Elddis. Hook on the side of the wall there. I've actually fitted that tail rail. That tail rail doesn't come on these vans as standard, which it's a little bit of a gripe of mine, to be honest. If you're spending 25 grand on a van, I'd expect it to have a tail rail in the bathroom. That's just an electric tail rail plugged into a socket down on the floor you saw outside by the heater outlet. Cupboard on the door there, cupboard on the wall there, and then we've got a mirror of which you can see the door opposite, but that's a backlit mirror. And then down to this attractive basin sink. I'll come back to that a little bit later on. Of course, you just your standard Thetford cassette toilet in there as well. Now it is wide enough to get changed in here. It's a little bit tight. If anything, you are going to bash your elbow slightly. So we fitted our partition in the back of the van. I'll show you in a moment, which is where we tend to get changed. We had this partition fitted, which ironically is from a Swift caravan. We had it fitted. It just privates off the van a little bit, as you can see. It stopped Sophie watching the telly and that we were watching in the front here when she goes to bed, but it also, from the other side, gives you a bit of privacy when you come out the bathroom, and you can use then this area to get dressed in, and it really works for us. The main control system in these Elddis 8 Series vans is the Whale iVan colour touchscreen. You've got your lights, and this one's here is for your awning light outside. The various different settings. You can set timers for the heating, different levels of heating, the temperature you'd like it to maintain, or you can just have the fan blowing if you just want the circulation of air. And for the hot water, you can have it obviously on electric or gas, same for the heating. It also comes with a boost mode, so it'll use electric at its highest setting, but also gas as well if you so wish, to heat up the very small hot water tank. It will heat up within 10 minutes, but it is a very small capacity. I'll come back to that very shortly. It also comes with an offside services light above where the water pump and battery compartments are. So there's a basic overview of the layout of the 866. They don't actually make this model anymore. In 2019 they changed it to what they now call as an 868. They took the diner out and they put a split washroom and shower in the middle of the van, and in the back of the van you've still got the bunks where the bunks are in the 866, but opposite the bunks you've got a 3/4 double bed. So you do lose the diner, and for us we do enjoy sitting having dinner all together on that diner. Also, we have found that the bed in the front is really comfortable. We bought some roll-out Duvelet portable single toppers, memory foam toppers, and we put them together, and it's a really, really comfortable bed. The Chatsworth comes with its own colour scheme, and for 2017 this was the colour scheme. Large awning light. This was an extra on the Chatsworth Special Edition. It's an awning heater, but if you ask me, it's the most useless thing you could possibly want on a caravan. Basically, they just don't work. So we've never actually had that out, heating the awning. Pretty useless, to be honest. We had the weight plate upgrade to 1800 kilos. Gives us a little bit more payload with the movers that we installed. You've got a underbed storage locker on the left sofa. These bespoke Chatsworth decals, and for the 2017 year it had the special placards instead of Elddis there. It says Glossop Caravans celebrating over 40 years. Down here you've got a barbecue point. Large front locker. All the Avante range came with an Alco stabiliser as standard, and the ATC trailer control as well. The Chatsworth Special Edition came with large heavy duty corner steadies. I was a little bit surprised that they didn't come on a van of this size as standard, to be honest. Got your whale water socket for your submersible pump. Battery box on the offside. Just below the battery box are the flues for the heating system. We had a all-wheel drive mover system fitted. We had the one set complimentary as we bought this at the Event City show, and we added the second set. It was an extra £600 at the time, just the manual activation. So I have a handle that fits on here to put this roller onto the tyre. Toilet, you've got your flush at the top and your cassette door at the bottom, and then you have your outlets here. The keen-eyed of you will notice I've got three. It's just two as standard on the Avante. I've actually fitted a dishwasher, which if I've already uploaded it by now, I'll put a link in the description as to how I fitted it, but I added an extra outlet there for the dishwasher. 866 decals with the marker light down to the rear of the van. High level brake light, rear window, and again Chatsworth decals with the 40-year placard instead of the Elddis placard. Coming to the on side, the 2 bunk windows, followed by the vents for the fridge, kitchen window, and the Alco wheel locks, of which I've only got one fitted at the moment, came with the Chatsworth. These themselves are quite expensive, but it is a condition of your insurance to have your wheel locks fitted if you have the fittings for them. Okay, so what do we like and what do we not like after 5 years of ownership of this Chatsworth 866? Well, iVan system, it's fairly simple to operate. We do sometimes find that it drops the connection. This is connected, receives information to and from, and sends information to and from the water heater and the room heater by Bluetooth. And sometimes the connection drops, but it's not been too bad. Some people have had more issues than others, yeah, it can sometimes drop the connection, but it always finds the devices again. But we have found that occasionally it can drop it, which is a little bit annoying. I do find this home button here, so if you're in any of these menus, I do find this button doesn't push in. This is what they call the handy home button, and it really just takes you back to the home screen, but it's not, you can't feel you've pushed it. It doesn't move, so you just push against it and it actions things, but you don't actually feel you've pushed it. So you can, if you're in a menu screen and you put your finger on it and you think, oh, it's not doing anything, it's not doing anything. No, because it doesn't actually push in. You actually have to push it, but it doesn't move. It's the strangest button ever. Just stand the button slightly proud and make it push in. Let's have a positive feedback when you press it, because otherwise, you know, unless you know, it's all a little bit odd. This van has blown air heating. It comes out of this vent up here, and this is just an air. This is an air inlet vent. So the actual heater unit and the fan is underneath this bed box. And it can be a little bit noisy when it's on. Of course, you're sleeping here and you've got the fan of the heating whirring underneath the seat there. It can be a little bit noisy. I know some people have complained it is quite noisy. I don't mind it, to be honest. Like I said, I spend a lot of time with my job in hotel rooms and I like a circulation of air, so I always have the air conditioning running. So for me, I don't really notice too much of an issue. From a diner point of view, we've never had this as a double bed. We've never had it made up as a double bed. We don't need to, because there's only 3 of us. But we do find that this cushion here is a little bit on the thin side if an adult needs to sit on it. You'd find that you're not fully supported. You think you're going to drop forward. So my advice would be stick the kids on this side here, and then the adults sit either side, really, because the back one is just a little bit too narrow. So this large cupboard in the kitchen, please excuse all the bits that are in here. We're in the van in storage at the moment. But there is no shelving in here. It's a huge cupboard, and it would be really useful. But other than for this, there is no shelving in here at all. So you stick your cereal in, which only comes to about here, and then the rest of it is a complete waste. And it's a shame, because it's not the most effective use of all the space. So we are going to buy a lightweight metal kind of drawer system to go in here that will utilise this a little bit better. It's only taken us 5 years to realise. This is quite useful underneath for tins and things like that. We tend to use the electric hot plate quite a bit when we're away, mainly because you've already paid for that in your pitch fee. But other than that, the gas rings are absolutely fine. They do the job that they're designed to do. The grill is a little bit anemic, to be honest with you. Let me show you. I don't know whether you can see that properly or not, but you can see I've turned it upside down so you've got a flatter surface to see. But there's the burner up there, and this is how low the grill unit sits. So as you can imagine, it's not really going to do anything. So we end up usually putting an upturned plate in here and sitting the grill on top of the upturned plate so that it's a little bit closer to the burner. I say it's fairly anemic. If you want a bacon sandwich, you do need to think about that in time, because it will take a little bit of time to cook it. All the more reason why we tend to fry it when we're on the van. It is a decent size oven. Again, we have cooked many a meal in here, but it can have a habit sometimes of burning things at the back and not cooking stuff at the front. It does take a little bit of technique in order to use it successfully, but once you've got it, it's more than adequate for you. Into the bathroom, I did mention already, it didn't come with a heated towel rail, which I was very surprised about. Though the majority of people who have purchased these vans have put their own ones in. This is just an electric one plugged into a socket just outside the bathroom wall. It's the one that's on the floor by the heater vent. Now coming over to the sink, it looks very nice, but practically it's just a little bit, how to describe? Well, first off, you get splashes, of course, going down here, so it's really important to clean behind here. But practically, it could really have done with just being an oblong sink, maybe coming this far out, rather than, because you just don't have enough room when you're doing your teeth or you're washing your face. You end up splashing everywhere because it's just a bit of an odd shape. It looks nice. It really does look nice, but practically it's a little bit useless. Moving on to the shower, I already mentioned it's a really good size shower cubicle. The only criticism with this van, this is coming from us who always use the shower on the van. We never use the on-site facilities. The Whale hot water tank factory fitted is only 8 litres, and that's about enough for a 2-minute shower at most. We ended up perfecting a technique whereby we turn the water on, we get ourselves wet, we immediately turn it off, soap ourselves up, and then turn it back on to rinse off, and then halfway through the rinse it's gone cold. And that's the way we'd been doing it for the last 5 years. If you're watching this now and I've already uploaded it, then there'll be a link in the description, but I have fitted a additional 10-litre hot water tank that now gives us at least 8 minutes shower, and with that I've also fitted a boost pump which now gives us power shower pressure at the shower head. It really is a fantastic shower that we can have in this van now, but I did have to do that to satisfy our own needs, because the factory fitted tank, as I say, is only 8 litres. It will barely fill the sink in the kitchen before it's gone cold. You'll fill about 3/4 of it. Just some niff naff and trivia that annoys me slightly. This is the overhead locker that's by the wardrobe, and as you can see, I don't know whether you can see the gap there, but you'll certainly be able to hear it. It catches on the side here. Now, whilst it's only very gentle and it doesn't make any mark, it still catches. It's not the point, really. We have had a number of warranty issues with this van whilst we've owned it, all of which I have to say have been sorted out, no hassle, no quibble, from Glossop Caravans and also from Elddis. Sometimes it's the way you deal with the dealers. If you are off with them, if you are, you're not particularly pleasant to deal with, then of course they'll be less inclined to help you. But also for Elddis as well, we were late getting it serviced in 2020, in part because I was unemployed for about 6 months due to COVID, unfortunately. So one of the last things you're thinking about is servicing a caravan. However, we did get it serviced, although late on the schedule, and we agreed to have it serviced within a few months again. I gave Elddis a call, I talked them through it, I explained what had happened, and they changed all the system to make sure that even though I had a late service in 2020, as long as I got it serviced, which happened to be a couple of months later in 2021, then everything will be fine. We are just about to make another warranty claim on the water ingress warranty as well. I'll mention that in a moment. And everything is absolutely fine. So again, sometimes it's the way you deal with them. I was pleasant with them. I asked them for help and to help me with the situation, and they did so. One of the first problems that we had within probably about 6 months of ownership, these skylights that were fitted on the dealer specials, they had a habit of coming down during transit, and that's what happened to us. This actually ended up coming off the ceiling, trailing the wires, of course, for all the little spotlights. It was dangling halfway down, having shifted whilst we were towing. So it went back in under warranty. In fact, actually, I think it was a recall, and they put these little mounting points in, as you can see. A little bit annoying because it's not aesthetically particularly pleasing, particularly when you're lying in bed and you're looking up at it. But it solved the problem of them coming off the ceiling, which of course was the main issue. Again, within a few months of ownership, the surround from this skylight came down, and in fact, actually, you can see I've not unscrewed that. That's loose. It's not actually grabbing onto anything at all. But this is going in for warranty work, which I'll mention in a moment, for about 4 to 6 weeks shortly, and I'm hoping they're going to do something about that. When we were in the Dordogne, we had a very heavy thunder shower, and water was pouring in from the front right-hand side above that shelf area, and it was coming in and it was flowing down. And in fact, actually in here you can probably still see the tide marks. Yes, you can, look, you can still see the tide marks of where this actually filled with water whilst we were down in the Dordogne Valley. And it turns out that on these early vans, again this is a 2017, the roof supports or the trusses were not big enough, and the weight of the water on the roof bowed the roof and pulled the sealant off the front connecting panels, which meant that, of course, as the water ran off the sloped roof, it actually ran off and then came inside. And I'll show you the entry point, which is quite common on these vans. So if you're going to look at one that's second hand, you need to have a look to see if there's any evidence of this. But there's a strip at the front that you need to look at. Well, I mentioned where the damp was coming through in 2018. It's through these screws here. On all of these 8 Series vans have got problems with this. Basically, the screws eventually they do move and flex naturally with the flexing of the caravan, and as the rain comes off the sunroof at the top, it goes down and it enters the van through here, and that's exactly what's happened to us. Now it's ours in the storage is on a right hand slant, so the water is coming through mainly this screw here, which you can see actually. If you see this this screw just here, it is actually slightly proud, and that's exactly where that water's coming through. So subsequently, when we got back from the Dordogne, I very quickly called Glossop, and they got it in very quickly for an inspection, confirmed what we told them. They found out what was going on. Of course, we only knew there was water coming through. We didn't know why. They found out that it was indeed actually the roof that was the issue. And they were starting to get a number of these vans. By this time, it was only about a year old, so there's only a year's worth of these types of vans around at the time, and they got it in, and it was in for about six or 7 weeks, and it had a new roof on, and all the panels obviously resealed. Now, some of the keen-eyed of you may see in some of my other videos that are on the channel now, there is this tide mark on this right-hand side. You see that now on the right-hand side there? That is a current damp issue that we have. And the van is actually going into Glossop for around 4 to 6 weeks. When we get back from our summer holiday in June, it's going in and it's having a whole new front end on, because we also have it in there. We also have it in there. And if I go around to the above the front door, you see we also have the damp there as well. And that now is starting to migrate from here. And there's a little bit showing just at the top on the left there, to the left hand side of the white box. All of it's covered by the 10-year water ingress warranty. I mentioned that Elddis helped us out with the servicing in 2020. This is the repair that's been authorised based on that servicing. No, I mean, this is a 25 grand van. You don't expect to have issues like this, I agree. But it does have, every caravan manufacturer has issues. It's how it's dealt with that's the important thing. One of the main problems you do tend to get with this system, now this is one of the early Whale iVans. I'm not sure if the latest iVan system has improved it or not, but when it comes to the room heater, you quite often find if the wind is on the offside and it's blowing up the flues a little bit, you'll get the following error message, and you'll need to reset your heater. We had to do it several times just after Storm Eunice when we were down south. Unfortunately now we've lost the heating. Well, we haven't lost the heating. The heater's still operating okay, but the fan has failed. I don't think it's connected to the flue error messages. I think that's just a peculiarity of the Whale iVan system. But unfortunately, our heater fan has failed, so now there's not the required airflow over the heater, so the heater won't kick in for safety, and it's got to be replaced. Unfortunately, now we're outside of the 3-year warranty on the Whale product, so that's on us. It's a little bit disappointing considering the van is only 5 years old, and you consider how many times the fan is actually used. You know, it's not used that often, but yeah, unfortunately we've got to get that fixed. Some modifications that I've made to the van along the way. I've just fitted this auxiliary hot water tank combined with the factory fitted Whale. It gives us 18 litres of hot water. We can have a proper shower now in the caravan. With the installation of the tank, I also had to fit a boost pump, which I've put a switch for down there. I've also fitted the e-trailer smart system. You can see one of the contact sensors for the skylights there, and the eConnect smart hub I fitted. It's just down there, as you can see that little black box down there. From a towing point of view, it's really easy to tow. Twin axles tend to be more stable anyway because they've got a larger footprint on the road with the 4 tyres. It comes with an Alco stabiliser as standard anyway. Even the non-dealer specials come with that. It also comes with ATC trailer control, which individually brakes each wheel. One thing important to note is these caravans are quite nose heavy. They actually want to be about 90 to 95 kilos. So you must make sure that if you're buying a van of this size, that the car is not just capable of towing it, but also it's capable of supporting a nose weight of about 100 kilos. The limitation is 100 kilos on the hitch. Our tow bar itself can withstand 150, and generally it rides 90 to 95 kilos. I have had this loaded with a lighter nose weight. I had an Audi A6 Avante which had a very low tow ball limit of 85 kilos. And whilst the 4% legal requirement for this van is only around 72 kilos, at 85 kilos you could actually feel the caravan lifting the back of the car up when you went over undulations in the road, and it was quite an uncomfortable feeling. It was a bit like travelling in an American car where the suspension's really soft and it takes a long time to damp out that movement. and we went all the way to the Dordogne with the Audi, and it was okay. But you did find when you hit a bump or you went to an undulation in the road, you would find that it took a little while to damp it out because the nose weight of the van wasn't quite where it needed to be, and it was a little bit light. And as the van kind of porpoised around its centre of gravity, it really wanted to be a little bit more nose down. Caravans do want to ride naturally nose down. So there's a few important points to think of if you're buying a van of this size. So it's a big van. We had the weight plate upgraded to 1,800 kilos, that's 1.8 tonnes. It gave us just a little bit more payload because we had an all-wheel drive mover fitted. If you get in a van of this size, 8 feet wide, 27 foot long, it will be very, very worthwhile investment to get motor movers fitted. I can manoeuvre this van within millimetres. I can get it in places you wouldn't even think I'd be able to get it. And one of those is actually on my driveway. Our driveway is slightly sloped and it's a little bit tight. Thankfully, we live on the corner of a cul-de-sac, which gives me a little bit more room for the van to overhang slightly. As you can see here in this time lapse of me manoeuvring the van off the driveway, there's just no way, particularly with that lamppost where it is, that I would be able to reverse the van on the drive. Now, we purchased this caravan in the 2017 Manchester show, and it came as part of a deal with the show with a single motor mover just on one set of wheels. Now that's okay, but the caravan weighing 1.8 tonnes and being so big, it will be able to manoeuvre about. It will go slowly, and you won't be able to manoeuvre it on a sixpence. If you saw in that video then, I'm able to manoeuvre the van really tightly, providing you're watching the rear axle and you're not trying to scrub the tyres too much. I can manoeuvre it more or less on a sixpence, but only with the all-wheel drive. So my advice to you is, if you're thinking about buying one of these vans, or you're thinking about buying a van of this length, of this size, there's plenty of them about, upgrade to the all-wheel drive mover. It was about £600 for us to upgrade to an all-wheel drive mover system, and it's one of the best things that I've ever done. I would never ever be now without a mover on a caravan. After 5 years of ownership then, what do we think? Well, we love this van. We have had some problems with it. All have been dealt with, and by far one of the worst ones is going to be dealt with very shortly. We've made some worthwhile modifications to it to make the van last for us a few years longer, because Sophie is getting older now. She's 8 in a few weeks' time, and she will eventually get to a point where she doesn't want to sleep in a bunk bed anymore. Also for us, it can be a bit laborious putting up and taking down the bed. So eventually we would like to go back to a fixed bedroom and a large central washroom, because the washroom on this van is a little bit tight to get changed in. But I have to say, we've really enjoyed owning this van. There's only 3 of us on it. It is a 6 berth, so we have plenty of space. It is all open plan. We have put that partition in just to give ourselves a little bit of privacy at times. But there's plenty of space in here. The maximum number of nights we've spent in it in one go is 16 when we were down in the Dordogne, and we didn't feel like we've been in a caravan for 16 nights, you know. It really is a great layout, and it has been a worthwhile investment for us. Would I recommend one? Yes, I would. As long as you know what to look out for, as long as you know the little bits that can fail on them, or as long as you know the common damp problems to look out for, then this really is a great family layout van. This review has been useful to you. Folks, if you enjoy the content, please like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again soon.